Hello there, everyone. My name is Arion, and I am here to introduce you all to a wonderful world. But before that, I'm going to introduce myself a little bit better. I am an artist who likes to make pretty stuff, and I like to be all over the place, always learning new stuff. So sometimes I'm illustrating, sometimes I'm doing some tech art. Most of the time, I'm doing some 3D related art because it is my favorite art media. So because of that, I consider myself a game art generalist. My current hobbies during these pandemic times are playing D&D with friends and frankly sleeping. So feel free to talk to me about some D&D adventures or sleeping or other stuff, I don't know. Anyways, I am 26 years old and I dreamt about making games ever since the 5th grade, and I achieved that dream in 2015 as an artist in a small game studio. Sadly, all games I've worked on were either stuck on development hell, cancelled, or they are currently under NDA. But that's okay. That's life as a game dev, especially in Brazil. The gaming industry here is relatively new, so people are still figuring out how to make stuff. Speaking of Brazil, there is a word pretty ingrained in the Brazilian culture: gambiarra. Yes, that's what we are talking about here. But what is a gambiarra? In Portuguese, it means an electrical light extension, but in Brazilian Portuguese, it has a totally different meaning. I have found the perfect definition for it. Gambiarra is a Brazilian definition for the informal deviation of technical knowledge. It is a widespread cultural practice consisting of all kinds of improvised solutions for everyday problems with any available material. You may have seen some of these images around the internet. All of them are gambiarras. Okay, some of those seem really dangerous, but the point is, they all work. They all serve their purposes. And now you must be thinking, why are you telling me that? What does this have to do with games? And I must answer, everything. Games are born and raised on gambiarras. Some are quite simple and smart solutions, like the endless stairs in Mario 64, where the player was teleported backwards after a certain number of steps to create the illusion of an infinite stairway until the player collected 70 stars. Others come from technical or engine limitations, like the famous Trainhead NPC from Fallout 3, where the train was an army equipment and the hidden player will just go really fast as a custom animation would play. And some are both, creating really cool design solutions, like horses in Ultima Online. When a player rode a horse, the real horse was hidden inside the player, and what looked like a horse was just a pair of horse pants. And there are so much more of these stories. You can find them all over the internet. I also have some other examples, some personal examples that are some of my gambiarras I'm proud of. A while ago, I was creating a tiling wall system for a top-down 2D game, and I was really struggling to create a nice 2D tile set. The workflow was slow, the quality was lacking. Turns out the more pixels you have, the more difficult it is to make them tile correctly. Our sprites are kinda high resolution, and on top of that, we are using normal mapped sprites. So I had a thought. What if I made 3D models blend with the 2D environment instead? 3D models are really flexible and have crisp detail, and they are vectors, so they always align perfectly. After a lot of trial and error, I finally found a way to make it work. I duplicated the original grid, matched the rotation to the exact camera angle, and with help of a friend, because I'm terrible at math, we scaled the grid by a factor to compensate the grid rotation so it would be square again. And also all the models are scaled by the same factor, so all tiles align perfectly. Okay, it looks really confusing, but I would need my entire time to explain it better, so bear with me a little. For that same project, the art was entirely 3D initially, and kinda generic, and we had very little time, so after some feedback, I also had a tough challenge to come up with a way to improve the game visuals, improve workflow speed for the team, and make the art more unique. I wanted us to still have the 3D feel and dynamic lighting, so instead of making 3D objects, we sacrificed the camera's third dimension, and I went to the ancient knowledge of the first PlayStation era, and most of the 3D objects were turned into pre-rendered sprites. Now, to save production time, I stripped away most of the traditional 3D workflow, like retopology, UVs, and texturing. And now the workflow was basically make high poly model, render, send it into Photoshop, and make a paint over. This new workflow was much quicker, much easier to keep a consistent art direction, and the result was a higher quality in general. The only downside is it's a super destructive workflow. Once you are done, and it loses all the 3D flexibility. But it works for our purposes. That's what matters in the end. All these examples have 2 points in common: time and creativity. Each one complements the other. Most of the time, you will have no time to make things the right way, and you will have to think creatively about how to solve your problems. And thinking creatively will also save you a lot of time. One thing I took a while to learn is that there is no right way to make games, no matter what others might tell you. If it works for you, your game, and your team, it is the right way. But there is some wrong ways, so be careful, please. Anyways, in conclusion, the point of this talk is not really the word itself, it is embrace your gambiarras. Most of the time, things will not look right, but be proud of it, because everyone else is doing it too. I would also love to know if you have a word or cultural equivalent to our Gambiarra on your country as well. So you can find me at my social networks, mostly on Twitter, and you can talk to me anytime. So thank you for listening to me blabbling for so long, and bye bye.